Hello everyone and welcome to Backseat Sports. I'm Caleb, that's Josh, and today we are talking our reactions for Purdue and then looking forward to this week when we play Northwestern. First, we're going to start off with our takeaways for what happened at Purdue in our 1-point win.
Yeah, obviously it was a really close game and Nebraska came out on top 29-28 in Purdue. Showed a little bit of character for Nebraska. Good to see our team fight on the road like that in a tough game, even when it could have been a little bit demoralizing being down by, 12 points. But at the end of the day, we got the win, and that's what matters in college football. So that was good to see. Obviously, there was a lot to take away, though. Tanner Lee played really well. I think he's continually showing that he has the tools for what it takes to be successful. It's taken a while for him to get used to Mike Riley's system, and it's taken a while for Danny Langsdorff to figure out the right ways to use Tanner in a system that, really makes sense for what we have already in place. He was really successful. He had 4th highest passing total in Nebraska history in a game, which is really good to see, over 400 yards for him. It didn't necessarily translate to offensive efficiency, just like J.D. Spielman's receiving yards didn't translate to efficiency in the Ohio State game. But nonetheless, it's good to see Tanner Lee being successful. I mean, that's a positive takeaway for the future. So obviously, that was good to see.
We've seen Tanner Lee improve throughout the year. He went from an D- quarterback, and I think we're starting to see him creep up into that C+ range. You can
I think
win.
he could be a B-.
I mean, I definitely think if he continues this progression through the year, I definitely think he can get into the B- B range.
Yeah.
Which is really good. You can win a lot of games, and you can win big games with a B- quarterback. I would probably say we have A+ receiving core.
Yeah.
But then when you look at the defense and then our offensive line, things don't translate as nice. As Mike Riley said, I still haven't seen us as a whole get better, but I have seen some individuals get better. But that's not enough, I don't think.
One pass catcher who really shined for one of the first times in his career was Tyler Hoppus. He really showed up and had a great game. He had 5 receptions for 105 yards and a touchdown. He seemed to be Tanner's go-to guy in important situations, especially in the fourth quarter, in some of those drives that we needed to have. And he really did look great. It's too bad that he's a senior and this is probably his last go at it for this year. But it's good to see that comfortability coming with the tight end position with Tanner Lee. And I think it's going to be beneficial for Tanner in the future to have that go-to guy on 3rd down and short, 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6. And it'll help improve his 3rd down efficiency for sure with being comfortable with Tyler Hopp.
One thing that was terrible in this last game was our red zone offense. While Drew Brown did a great job kicking 4 field goals and getting 12 points for us, we have to be able to score when we get in the red zone opportunities. It has not been there. For some reason, when we get backed up in that short position, the passing doesn't work, the rushing doesn't work, the play call doesn't work. It's been a hot mess. And I feel a lot of our wide receiver touchdowns are on those long ones. In the Ohio State game when J.D. Spielman scored, it was on those long touchdown ones. Our big long drives haven't been capping off well with touchdowns. And I feel some of that is just being on the conservative side, just wanting to get the points. But you need to be able to score the ball once we get into the red zone. Obviously, we've had a couple picks down that situation, and some of those go-to plays for Mike Riley and his staff haven't been there because those short little pass plays have been picked off before, but they definitely need to figure it out if we want to be able to win games.
Yeah, our red zone offense gave me flashbacks to that 2009 offense where basically Alex Henry was our only offense of that year, where he was kicking 5 field goals a game, and our defense, we were winning 15-10.
One of the big reasons our offense sputtered is we had 22 carries for only 58 yards.
Jeez.
Mike Riley has not won a single game at Nebraska where he has rushed under 120 yards until this game. This is a fluke thing that does not usually happen and really shouldn't. We're going to have to be able to figure that out if we're going to continue to win games. On both sides of the ball, our rushing offense has decreased this year, and our rushing defense has gotten way worse as the year has gone on as well.
Teams have exposed our speed to the outside. We saw Wisconsin do it, then we saw Ohio State do it. I mean, and now Purdue even tried to do it. They were getting to the outside, running some zone reads, getting the ball onto the flats. And at the end of the day, our outside linebackers just can't get there. Even in the 3-4, we saw us switch to 4-3 more than normal in this game. And I mean, that was the reason why. Our linebackers just can't get to the flats. And so Bob Diaco thought it'd be, more worthwhile having 4 guys up front, at least be able to stop the interior rush a little bit better, to then, allow linebackers more spacing to get to the outside. It was what had to be done. The issue for Nebraska's defense was that we only had 3 tackles for loss, which is embarrassing for a defense. I mean, even Purdue, who didn't play a great defensive game either, had 8 tackles for loss. They were actually at least getting behind the line of scrimmage and hitting our guys behind the line of scrimmage, something that we just couldn't do. Our front 7 has been terrible this year for the most part, and it showed again against Purdue. and we were exposed against Wisconsin and Ohio State because of that weak front seven. It's just something that we have to improve on if we want to be able to compete in any big-time game.
Bill Moose has been really busy this week. He's been going to all the news media sites, radio talk shows, newspapers, and he's been just introducing himself and just being free to talk to all of the sports guys, all the sports radio guys everywhere, which is really something way different than we've ever seen before at Nebraska, at least way different than Peterson or Eichhorst. I think because the press gave Eichhorst that perceived, not talking, I think Bill Moose has really gone off to try to get on a good foot with them to start off. He talked about how he hasn't really had a chance to sit down with Mike Riley and pick his brain about recruiting and game plan and coaching staff, and he hopes to do this within the next weeks and really see what makes Mike Riley tick. Bill Moose has been very vocal about other things too. That's been kind of cool to see.
I mean, the Purdue game was his first game that he was able to watch as Nebraska's athletic director, so I think it meant a lot to him to be able to see that and to kind of see how his team performs in a situation like that on the road. And now he gets to talk to Mike Riley about that and learn more about the Big Ten from Mike Riley's perspective, coming from the Pac-12 as well. So we're going to head into Northwestern now. Obviously, the game's coming up on Saturday. It's another prove-yourself game for the team and for Mike Riley. At this point, Mike Riley's fate might be written on the wall. He needs every win he can get. A blowout loss to Northwestern at home very well could be the final straw. Who knows? But you never know in a situation like this. That's another video. The game's just a big game, and Nebraska needs to win it, especially at home. We are actually 1-point underdogs currently to Northwestern at home. Northwestern on ESPN is about a 65% favorite, so Nebraska has something to prove at home in Memorial Stadium against an inferior program.
Northwestern is 5-3. We're 4-4. They've lost to Duke at Duke, Wisconsin at Wisconsin, and then versus Penn State. They played a closer game to Wisconsin than we did. In Penn State, they lost 31-7, and then the Duke game was really close as well. I think they're a little bit better overall as a team. Clayton Thorson has proved himself to be a pretty decent quarterback. Obviously, they just came off the win, and they just beat number 6. They just knocked off number 16 Michigan State.
Yeah, they're
in
hot.
Triple overtime. They're feeling pretty good about themselves, and it's a big game for us. They give up more passing yards than the Nebraska Cornhuskers do. We give up about 270 per game, and they give up 274. And with our offensive weapons, our wide receivers, that means that they're going to be freed up and they're going to get the chance to create plays with the ball. And that's going to be a very important thing for us in winning this game. Our wide receivers are going to have to play a very good game because there'll definitely be the opportunity.
Once again, we just need to keep Tanner Lee on his feet. Northwestern's known for their front seven. They have 16 sacks this season, which is extremely impressive. And one of their key players is Patty Fisher, who had 17 tackles and 2 forced fumbles against Michigan State, which is insane for a player to have that many tackles in a game. So extremely impressive. We need to control him, make sure that he can't get those big plays and disrupt the team offensively. And so that's going to be a big key for us, our blocking schemes, making sure that we have the right formations and personnel in place to make the plays that we need to make, especially on third down.
One of the other things is our players really got hurt a lot last game coming off that bye week. I thought it would really replenish us, but it seemed like every other play a Nebraska player was going down on the field hurt. So we really need to be able to make sure that we're conditioned, we're stretched out, and we're making sure that we're eating our potassium pills so that we're not getting hurt as much as we did this last game, because we lost some key players like Decker, our center. So we have a lot of guys down, and we need to make sure that we stay healthy so that we make sure they can go the full 60 minutes. Games against Northwestern have been very 50-50 with us in the past.
Yeah.
Obviously, it was legitimately 50-50 with there was a Hail Mary by Ron Kellogg III when we were at home a couple years back. So it's anybody's game, just as it has been for a while. There was that time when out of nowhere they beat Bo Pelini's team when we had a lot of wins on our hands.
Yeah.
They turned our 11-win season to 9 wins. We've had their number. They've had our number for the past few years. I think this will be a pretty close game, as it always is. My prediction is that we're going to lose this game by a touchdown, 20-27. We're going to give up just a long drive at the end of the game just to kind of demoralize us. They're going to wear us out, as a lot of teams have done, and just have a nice long drive at the end of the game and score a touchdown.
I'm on the other side of the coin. I've been a little bit more optimistic about Nebraska this year, but I think I'm going to pick against the spread, and I think the Cornhuskers are going to pull it out. I think Tanner Lee's been on the come up these last few weeks. He's been playing a lot better. Our passing game's finding rhythm. The issue is our running game hasn't been there. So Langsdorf and Mike Riley have a little bit of work to do to balance out this offense. But against a team like Northwestern, who who doesn't have a necessarily glaring weakness on this team. I think we'll be able to have a balanced offense and run the ball and pass the ball well. And I mean, running the ball well only opens up lanes for the passing game, and Tanner Lee will be able to find those guys. I think we're going to see more intermediate passing in this game, slant routes, screens, things like that, with Tanner Lee being a little bit more comfortable now than he used to be. I don't necessarily think it's going to be a low-scoring game. Our defense has not been necessarily impressive against adequate offenses, and I can see Memorial Stadium being extremely excited about this game. And with the atmosphere that's going to be there on Saturday, I think Nebraska pulls this out one 35-24. A little bit bigger win than I think a lot of people are going to see coming. Nebraska has something to prove. My players are playing for Mike Riley right now and for their jobs. It's a big game for Nebraska, like we had said, and Nebraska shows up. So there's my prediction.
If Nebraska was going to win this game, I'd need to see Divino Zigbo rush for 100 yards and a touchdown for us to win this game. Nebraska would have to have over 150 rushing yards.
So if you guys enjoyed this video, like, comment, favorite, and subscribe. We love seeing your comments down below, and we really appreciate you guys subscribing. We've almost hit 100 subscribers, so that's awesome, and it's great to see the community kind of growing around the channel. But anyway, so we'd love to see you guys, down in the comments below, and it really does mean a lot to us. I'm Josh, this is Caleb, and this has been Backseat Sports, and we'll see you next time. Of course, is still there and has to make this decision. I don't see a reason why that he would hire Les Miles at his age, considering he hired Mike Riley already, and I think you'd want to go a different direction, a younger and more energetic